we are not alone in the universe. For decades, governments have hidden the truth, but what if I told you that extraterrestrial beings have been studying us far longer than we've been searching for them? And what they discovered in our DNA left them utterly shocked. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in an underwater facility that officially doesn't exist, scientists made a discovery that would change everything we know about human origins. They found something in our genetic code that shouldn't be there, something that proves we were never meant to exist naturally on this planet. The story begins in 1977 when the Voyager spacecraft was launched into deep space carrying the Golden Record, a message from humanity to any intelligent life that might find it. But what NASA didn't tell the public was that they received a response. Not through radio signals, but through something far more disturbing, alterations in our own DNA. Dar. Elena Marsh was a geneticist working on the Human Genome Project when she noticed something impossible. Hidden within what scientists call junk DNA, the 98% of our genetic code that supposedly has no function, she found mathematical sequences. Not random mutations or evolutionary artifacts, but precise mathematical formulas. Prime numbers. The Fibonacci sequence. Even the value of pi, calculated to hundreds of decimal places. At first, she thought it was a mistake, a contamination in the samples. But after testing DNA from people across every continent, every ethnic background, she found the same sequences. Every single human on Earth carries this mathematical signature in their genes. The implications were terrifying. Someone, or something, had written a message into the very blueprint of human life. And that message was meant to be found. Dr. Marsh reported her findings to a classified government committee. Within hours, her research was seized, her laboratory shut down, and she was told to never speak of her discovery again. But the government didn't silence her because they thought she was wrong. They silenced her because they already knew she was right. For years, intelligence agencies around the world had been encountering the same mystery through different means. Military satellites detected patterns in crop circles that matched genetic sequences. Radio telescopes picked up signals that, when translated, looked like strands of DNA. Ancient structures like the pyramids and Stonehenge, when analyzed with modern technology, revealed architectural proportions that mirrored the double helix structure. Everything pointed to one impossible conclusion. Humanity was a project, an experiment, and our creators had left breadcrumbs throughout history, waiting for us to become advanced enough to understand. Then, in 2009, something happened that confirmed their worst fears. A meteor crashed in the Atacama Desert in Chile. Military units secured the site within hours, but not before local residents saw something extraordinary. The meteor hadn't just crashed, it had landed. And inside, they found what could only be described as a probe. The device was unlike anything human technology could produce. It was biological and mechanical simultaneously, as if grown rather than built. When scientists finally managed to interface with it, they discovered it was transmitting data. Not into space, but into human cells. The probe was updating our DNA in real time, making microscopic adjustments to our genetic code. And it had been doing this for thousands of years. There were others like it, buried beneath ancient sites around the world, all connected in a global network, all modifying human evolution according to some predetermined plan. But why? What were they trying to create? The answer came from an unlikely source. A coma patient in Berlin suddenly woke up after 15 years and began speaking in a language no one recognized. Linguists were baffled until someone noticed the speech patterns matched the mathematical sequences found in junk DNA. The patient wasn't speaking gibberish, they were translating the genetic code itself. When finally decoded, the message was clear: you are the memory keepers. When the cycle ends, you must remember. This sent shockwaves through the classified scientific community. Memory keepers? What cycle? Remember what? Ancient texts from civilizations across the world suddenly made new sense. The Hindu concept of yugas, cycles of creation and destruction. The Mayan calendar and its predictions of world ages. Even the biblical flood narrative. They weren't myths or primitive attempts to explain nature. They were historical records of previous cycles. Human DNA, it seemed, was designed as a biological hard drive, storing information from previous civilizations that had risen and fallen on Earth. We weren't the first advanced species on this planet. We were perhaps the 5th, or the 10th, or the 100th. And encoded in our genes was the collective knowledge of all who came before. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. If we're designed to remember, that means somewhere in our DNA is the knowledge of how the previous cycles ended. And if the pattern holds, we should be able to access that information. We should be able to see our own future by examining our past. This is where Project Chronos comes in. A deep black program funded by a coalition of governments, operating outside any legal oversight. Their mission: unlock the historical data stored in human DNA before the current cycle ends. They selected subjects with specific genetic markers, people whose DNA showed unusual activity in the junk sequences. These individuals were brought to an underground facility and subjected to experimental treatments designed to activate dormant genetic memories. The results were catastrophic. Subjects began experiencing vivid memories of lives they never lived, civilizations that existed thousands or millions of years ago. They spoke of technologies far beyond our current capabilities. Cities that floated in the sky. Energy harvested from the fabric of space itself. And they all remembered the same thing. The arrival. Every previous civilization, according to these unlocked memories, reached a certain threshold of advancement. And when they did, the creators returned. Not to guide or help, but to evaluate. To judge whether their experiment was successful or needed to be reset. The subjects described the creators in ways that matched accounts from ancient texts. Beings of pure energy, able to take physical form but existing beyond our three-dimensional perception. They weren't gods, but they might as well have been. They had created thousands of species across thousands of worlds, all encoded with the same mathematical DNA signature, all part of some incomprehensible cosmic study. And according to every memory that Project Chronos unlocked, we're approaching the threshold. The signs are everywhere. Our technological advancement in the last century has been exponential. We've unlocked the atom, mapped our genome, reached into space. We're on the verge of creating artificial intelligence that might surpass human cognition. We're editing genes, extending life, merging with our machines. We're becoming like our creators. And that's exactly what triggers their return. The most terrifying part. The memories suggest this has happened before on Earth. Multiple times. Advanced human civilizations rose, reached the threshold, and were evaluated. And each time, the creators decided the experiment had failed. Each time, they reset the planet, wiping the slate clean and allowing evolution to try again with the genetic programming still intact. Evidence of these resets exists in our geological record. Mass extinction events that seem to occur in regular cycles. Sudden disappearances of advanced species. Gaps in the fossil record that mainstream science struggles to explain. What if these weren't natural disasters or cosmic accidents? What if they were deliberate purges? But here's what the aliens didn't expect: we found the message. We decoded our own DNA. We know what we are and why we exist. And that knowledge itself might be the key to breaking the cycle. You see, every previous iteration of humanity apparently reached the threshold without understanding their own origins. They advanced technologically but remained ignorant of their true nature. The creators could reset them easily because they never saw it coming. But we're different. For the first time in potentially millions of years of attempts, humanity has become self-aware in a genetic sense. We know we're designed. We know we're being watched. We know what's coming. And scattered throughout our DNA, hidden even deeper than the mathematical sequences, researchers have found something else: instructions. A blueprint for something massive, something that requires global cooperation and resources beyond what any single nation possesses. Some believe it's a weapon. Others think it's a communication device. A few theorize it's an escape mechanism, a way to transfer human consciousness beyond physical form before the reset occurs. The truth is, we don't know yet. The instructions are incomplete in any single individual. They're distributed across humanity like pieces of a puzzle, requiring genetic data from thousands of specific individuals to assemble the complete picture. This might be why human diversity was built into our design. Not just ethnic or racial diversity, but the incredible genetic variation that makes each human unique. We were never meant to be a single organism or a hive mind. We're a collective database, and only by coming together can we access the full legacy left to us by previous cycles. Recent unexplained phenomena suddenly make sense in this context. The increase in global connectivity through the internet. The push toward international cooperation. Even the rise in interest in UFOs and government disclosure. It's all part of the pattern. As we approach the threshold, as the creators prepare to return, our dormant genetic programming activates, pushing humanity toward unity. But there's resistance too. Forces that seem to work against human cooperation, that sow division and conflict. Some researchers believe these aren't just natural human tendencies but also part of the design. A test within the test. Will we overcome our programmed divisions and unify? Or will we fail like the previous iterations? The clock is ticking. Astronomical calculations suggest we're in a window of heightened probability for what the ancient texts called the return. Strange signals from deep space, increasing UAP sightings by military personnel, unexplained atmospheric phenomena. The creators might already be here, observing, evaluating. And somewhere in your DNA, in that 98% of genetic code that scientists once dismissed as junk, lies the memory of what happened before. The knowledge of previous civilizations. The wisdom of countless attempts to pass the test. You are not just a human being living your individual life. You are a node in a network of biological memory spanning eons. You carry within you the hopes and failures of everyone who came before. And you're part of the generation that will determine whether humanity finally breaks the cycle or becomes just another reset in an endless experiment. The mystery of human DNA didn't just shock aliens. It should shock you too. Because now you know the truth. The question is, what will you do with it?